All right, let's dive into some of the biggest tech stories of the week.
Sounds good.
Buckle up, because there's a lot to cover.
Yeah, this week is jam-packed.
From supersonic jets making a comeback
Hmm.
to the AI world having a bit of an existential crisis.
Oh, yeah?
Even the cloud is under fire this week, and
Right.
we'll even touch on an update to the doomsday clock.
It's always something, isn't it?
It really is.
But that's why we're here, to break it all down.
Exactly. So, to kick things off, let's talk about something that sounds straight out of science fiction.
Okay, what's that?
Supersonic travel. Boom, Supersonic's XB-1 just broke the sound barrier.
Wow.
It's the first time a civilian jet has done that since Chuck Yeager's flight way back in 1947.
That's pretty historic.
It is. And it's
Yeah.
not just a nostalgic throwback either.
So where are they going with this?
This test flight paves the way for their Overture supersonic airliner.
I've heard of that, the one that's supposed to be super fast.
Super fast is an understatement. They're aiming for Mach 1.7.
Wow.
That means you could fly from New York to London in under 4 hours.
Hold on, under 4 hours. That's incredible.
Imagine that.
Like a quick trip across town.
Almost right. A business meeting in London and dinner back home in New York all in one day.
That changes everything.
It really does. And it looks like this is actually happening. Major airlines like American, United, and Japan Airlines are already pre-ordering the Overture.
Seriously, they're betting big on this.
They are. And Boone is building a super factory in North Carolina to ramp up production.
That's a big commitment.
It seems like supersonic travel really is about to go mainstream.
It makes you wonder what kind of impact this will have on the world, especially with, all the concerns about climate change and all that.
That's a big question. I mean, widespread supersonic travel could transform everything. Business, international relations, even tourism. It could usher in a new era of global interconnectedness.
Right, but like I said, the environmental impact is a major concern.
For sure.
We'll have to see how Boom addresses those concerns as they move forward.
Agreed. Okay, let's switch gears to the AI world where things are getting really interesting.
Lay it on me.
The Chinese AI lab, DeepSeek, unveiled their R1 model,
Okay, I think I read something about this.
and it is shaking things up. It's performing amazingly well on various benchmarks, even rivaling, or in some cases, surpassing OpenAI's models.
So they're a serious contender then.
It seems that way. And what's even more intriguing is their claim that they achieved this breakthrough at a very low cost.
How low are we talking?
They said trading their previous Model V3 only cost them $5.6 million.
It's still a lot of money, but
In the world of cutting-edge AI research that's practically pocket change, the costs can easily reach hundreds of millions, so that figure is remarkably low.
I see what you mean.
But here's the twist.
There's always a twist.
SemiAnalysis, a chip consultancy, is challenging DeepSeek's claims.
Uh-oh.
They're suggesting DeepSeek may have spent way more on NVIDIA chips than they've disclosed, possibly upwards of $500 million over the company's history.
Wow, so there might be some secrecy surrounding the true cost of their AI development.
It seems that way. Makes you wonder if they're being intentionally misleading, or is there something else going on here?
It's tough to say without more transparency from DeepSeek.
Right.
But their claims of low-cost AI development have huge implications. If it's true, it could democratize access to this powerful technology, potentially shifting the balance of power in the AI landscape.
That's a huge if, though.
Exactly, and if it's misleading, it creates unrealistic expectations and could hinder the field's progress. This situation highlights the need for transparency and open collaboration in AI development.
Speaking of open collaboration, Hugging Face, the AI community platform, is trying to recreate DeepSeek's R1 model in an open source format.
Interesting, so anyone could access the code and training data.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Think it'll be successful?
Well, Hugging Face's initiative is incredibly important, that's for sure. Open source projects like this allow for independent verification of claims, they foster collaboration, and help prevent the concentration of power in the hands of just a few companies. It's a counterbalance to the potential for secrecy and proprietary control that we're seeing with DeepSeek.
It's a good point. This focus on potential monopolies in the tech world leads us perfectly to our next story. The UK regulator's investigation into the cloud services market.
Oh yeah, I read about that. Things are looking good for Amazon and Microsoft.
Not at all. They concluded that the market is not working.
Strong words.
And it's due to the dominance of Amazon Web Services and Microsoft.
Which is?
Each controls up to 40% of the market, according to the report. This lack of competition is a real concern.
Absolutely. When two companies have such a tight grip on the market, it can lead to higher prices and reduced innovation.
Think about it.
If there's no real competition.
There's less incentive to push boundaries and develop groundbreaking new technologies,
Right, it creates a situation where everyone else is at a disadvantage.
and the potential consequences are significant, particularly for businesses in the UK that rely on these cloud services.
Mm-hmm.
The report suggests that this lack of competition could stifle innovation and lead to higher costs for these businesses.
Do you think this investigation could have broader implications?
I do. This could be a catalyst for more aggressive regulatory action. I mean, we're already seeing calls for greater scrutiny of these companies in other countries, and this report from the UK could add fuel to the fire.
Makes you wonder what the future holds for big tech.
It really does. And the UK regulator isn't just calling for more scrutiny, they're suggesting these companies be designated with strategic market status.
What does that even mean?
It sounds very official. Essentially, strategic market status would subject these companies to much stricter regulatory oversight, particularly when it comes to practices that could stifle competition.
So, for example?
For example, regulators could take a closer look at Microsoft's software licensing practices or Amazon's data transfer fees.
I see.
This designation would give regulators more power to intervene and ensure a more level playing field.
Interesting. This will definitely be interesting to watch unfold. It seems like there's this growing tension between the rapid advancement of technology and the need for regulation.
Right, to ensure fair competition and protect consumers.
Exactly. It's going to be a recurring theme in the tech world, I think.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break from the heavy stuff for a minute
Sounds good.
and talk about something a little more fun. Apple's rumored new HomePod
With a screen.
with a screen. Mark Gurman, the Apple insider,
Oh, yeah.
is calling it their most significant new product of the year.
Wow. That's a bold claim.
It is. What do you think they have up their sleeve?
It makes you wonder. Apple has been lagging behind in the smart home market. Amazon and Google have established such a strong presence with their voice assistants and smart displays.
That's true. So maybe this new HomePod could be Apple's attempt to catch up.
To carve out their own space in this rapidly growing market.
Exactly. I could already picture it, a sleek Apple device with a vibrant screen.
Seamlessly integrated with your iPhone.
Yes, an iPad and other Apple products.
Right.
You could control your appliances.
Make FaceTime calls.
Yes, and access all sorts of information, all with that familiar ease of use that Apple is known for.
I think that's what they're going for. Imagine being able to control your lights, thermostat, and security system all from one device.
It would be so convenient. And with Apple's focus on privacy, you could feel more confident about bringing a smart device into your home.
That's a good point. Though the key question is, will consumers embrace yet another smart home ecosystem?
That's the big question, right?
Apple's betting on the strength of their brand and the loyalty of their user base, but only time will tell if they can truly challenge Amazon and Google in this space.
So we've covered supersonic jets, AI shakeups, and the battle for control of the cloud. Before we move on to the next batch of headlines, what stood out to you so far? What are you finding most intriguing, or maybe most concerning?
I have to say it's the sheer speed of innovation and the massive implications these advancements have for our lives. We're talking about technologies that could fundamentally reshape how we live, work, and interact with the world.
It's true.
But with this power comes a great deal of responsibility.
We need to be mindful of the potential risks.
Right, and ensure that we're using these technologies to create a better future for everyone.
I couldn't agree more. It's exciting to see how these technologies are evolving, but we need to remain vigilant and engaged in the conversation to ensure they're used for good. So with that in mind, let's dive into the rest of this week's tech news.
Well, it seems like the Biden administration's proposal to ban bulk broadband billing for tenants has hit a snag.
Ah, yes, the proposal aimed at preventing landlords from bundling internet service and potentially limiting tenant choices. What happened?
The FCC decided to drop it.
Oh,
It seems housing industry groups lobbied against the proposal,
makes sense.
claiming that bulk billing agreements actually help secure discounts from internet providers, potentially reducing costs by as much as 50%.
That's interesting.
They argue landlords can then pass those savings along to renters.
Okay, but how can we be sure that those savings are truly being passed down to tenants?
Yeah, it seems like there's potential for landlords to simply pocket the difference.
Right, leaving tenants with limited choices and potentially inflated prices.
You raise a valid point. There's no guarantee those savings would actually trickle down to tenants. It could easily end up benefiting landlords and internet providers more than the people who are actually paying for the service.
Exactly. It highlights the complexity of balancing regulation, market forces, and consumer protection, especially in a sector as essential as internet access.
Speaking of complex situations, how about this? The UK is considering making Netflix users pay a license fee to fund the BBC.
It seems like a pretty drastic measure. What are your thoughts?
It's certainly a bold move. The BBC, as you know, is funded through a license fee that everyone who watches live TV in the UK has to pay.
Right.
But as streaming services like Netflix gain popularity, the government is facing a decline in revenue from that traditional model.
So their solution is to extend the fee to anyone who streams content, even if they don't watch traditional broadcast television.
Seems that way.
Will people be willing to pay for a service they might not even use?
That's the big question, right? The government argues that the BBC provides a valuable public service.
Creating high-quality news and programming that benefits everyone.
Exactly. They believe everyone who consumes content should contribute to supporting that service.
But critics argue that it's unfair to force people to pay for something they may not use, especially when they're already paying for streaming subscriptions.
It raises questions about the BBC's role in the modern media landscape.
Are they a traditional broadcaster, a modern media company, or something in between?
Right, and how can they stay relevant in a world increasingly dominated by on-demand streaming?
These are all good points.
It's a fascinating case study in navigating the digital age and adapting to changing consumption habits.
It seems like a lot of players in the media landscape are trying to figure out how to adapt and compete. Speaking of which, bookshop.org,
Oh, I love them.
the online platform that supports independent bookstores,
Yes.
is launching a new ebook platform.
Wow,
They're taking on Amazon directly.
good for them.
It's exciting to see them expanding their reach and offering an alternative to the dominant player in the market,
Bookshop.org has been such a champion for independent bookstores.
creating a way for them to thrive in the online world
Wow.
while retaining the charm and personality of those brick-and-mortar shops.
Right.
And they've already generated over $35 million in profits for independent bookstores through their physical book sales.
That's incredible.
And now they're bringing that same community-focused approach to the ebook market.
I love that they're not just trying to replicate Amazon's model.
Me too.
They're building something unique, centered around supporting independent businesses and fostering a sense of community among book lovers.
And they're offering a 30% profit share to member bookstores for every ebook sale made through their platform,
Wow, that's amazing.
which is a huge incentive for bookstores to join.
For sure. And they're launching with an impressive catalog of over 1 million digital titles, with plans to incorporate self-published works later this year.
It's so refreshing to see a company prioritize ethical considerations and community building in a market that often feels driven purely by profit. Will they be able to attract enough customers? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, their success will depend on whether consumers embrace this alternative model, but it's a powerful reminder that technology can be used to support independent businesses.
And create more equitable and sustainable market systems. It's a story worth following closely.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about cybersecurity concerns. Recent research has uncovered vulnerabilities in Apple chips, the ones powering Macs, iPhones, and iPads.
This seems like kind of a big deal considering how many people rely on Apple products.
It is. Researchers say these vulnerabilities could allow hackers to leak sensitive data, like credit card information, passwords, even location history.
Oh, wow, that's scary. How is this even possible? I thought Apple products were generally considered to be very secure.
You would think, right. The vulnerabilities stem from the chip's use of speculative execution.
What's that?
It's a performance optimization technique that can, in some cases, expose sensitive data to what are called side channel attacks. It's complicated, but basically hackers can exploit these vulnerabilities to access data that should be protected.
Okay, so what can Apple users do to protect themselves? Should we all be panicking and throwing away our iPhones?
I don't think we need to panic just yet. The good news is the researchers who discovered these vulnerabilities have already alerted Apple, and the company is working on patches to address the issue.
Okay, that's good.
But in the meantime, the best thing you can do is keep your software updated.
Right.
Be cautious about the websites you visit and the links you click, and enable two-factor authentication whenever possible.
Solid advice.
Okay, moving on. It seems LinkedIn is cracking down on AI coworkers.
Wait, what? What does that even mean?
Apparently, some companies have been creating profiles for their AI agents on LinkedIn. complete with photos and the hashtag open to work banner.
Seriously, that's weird.
It does seem a bit bizarre. I mean, LinkedIn is a platform for connecting real people, for professional networking.
Mhm.
Having AI bots posing as job-seeking humans seems counterproductive.
Exactly. LinkedIn is built on the premise of authenticity and trust. Having fake profiles cluttering up the site undermines that trust.
It creates a confusing and potentially misleading experience for users.
It also raises ethical questions about the blurring lines between human and machine. Are we entering a world where it's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between real people and AI entities?
And what are the implications of that for our society? It's definitely something to think about. As AI becomes more sophisticated, we need to have these open and honest conversations about its role in our society.
How we can ensure it's used responsibly and ethically.
Now, for our final headline, we need to address something that's a bit more serious. The doomsday clock.
Oh no!
A symbolic representation of how close humanity is to global catastrophe has been moved closer to midnight.
Not good.
It's now at 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been in its 78-year history.
Wow, that's sobering.
It's a stark reminder of the existential threats we face as a species. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, the organization responsible for setting the clock, cited a number of factors for this grim update, including the ongoing war in Ukraine, escalating tensions in the Middle East, the continuing threat of climate change, and the rapid advancement of potentially dangerous technologies, including AI.
It's a lot to take in.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of these challenges, but it's important to remember that we're not powerless. The doomsday clock is a call to action, a reminder that we need to work together to address these threats and create a safer, more sustainable future for everyone.
We have the knowledge and the tools to create a better world.
But it requires collective action, global cooperation, and a commitment to finding solutions that benefit all of humanity. Well, that was quite a whirlwind of news, wasn't it?
It really was.
From the highs of supersonic travel and the potential of AI to the challenges of regulating big tech and the looming threat of global catastrophe, it's been a week filled with both hope and concern. What are your final thoughts?
I think what's most striking is the interconnectedness of these seemingly disparate stories.
They all point to the profound ways technology is shaping our world.
And the critical choices we face as individuals and as a global society. It's more important than ever to stay informed, engage in meaningful conversations, and advocate for a future where technology is used responsibly and ethically.
Couldn't agree more. So with that in mind, let's move on to the final part of our deep dive and explore some potential solutions and opportunities for navigating this rapidly changing world. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the exciting to the concerning. It's clear that technology is rapidly reshaping our world. But where does that leave us? As we navigate this constantly evolving landscape, what are the biggest opportunities and challenges we should be thinking about?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think we're at a crossroads. On one hand, we have these incredible technologies with the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest problems.
Like climate change.
Exactly. Climate change, healthcare.
Right.
Think about AI-driven medical breakthroughs or sustainable energy solutions powered by advancements in computing. The possibilities are mind-boggling.
It's true. It's incredible to think about the positive impact these technologies could have.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, we're also facing some significant challenges. We've seen how technology can be misused, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
From data breaches and cyber attacks to the spread of misinformation and the erosion of privacy. And as that doomsday clock reminder showed us, the stakes are higher than ever.
They are. So how do we navigate this complex terrain? I think it starts with awareness. The more we understand about these technologies, the better equipped we'll be to make informed decisions about their development and use. We can't just passively accept whatever new gadget or platform comes along. We need to be engaged, critical thinkers.
I love that informed decision-making. It's not about fearing technology
Right.
or rejecting progress, but rather engaging with it thoughtfully and responsibly. It's about asking tough questions like, who benefits from this technology? Who might be harmed? How can we ensure it's used ethically?
Exactly. We need to move beyond the hype, the marketing slogans, and really examine the underlying implications. Take AI, for instance. It's crucial to consider bias in algorithms, data privacy concerns, the potential impact on jobs and the economy. These aren't easy questions, but they're essential conversations we need to be having.
And these conversations can't just happen within the tech industry.
Absolutely not.
They need to involve everyone. We need to be discussing these issues in our communities and schools and governments because the impact of technology is far-reaching. It's about shaping a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. The future isn't predetermined. It's something we create collectively through our choices, our actions, and the vision we have for the world we want to live in.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the week's tech news, I want to leave our listeners with this one thought. Given the power and the pace of technological change, what role do you want to play in shaping the future? It's a question worth pondering.
It is. Stay informed, engage in thoughtful discussions, and don't be afraid to speak up and advocate for a future where technology empowers us all.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the week's tech news. We'll be back next week with more insights and explorations into the ever-evolving world of technology. Until then, stay curious.